I'd already talked about how excited I am about Joker 2, Joker Folie A Deux, and as you can see from my t-shirt, I was fully equipped to go and have a good time at the theaters. I was ready with my first day first show tickets. But unfortunately, the film didn't pan out the way I thought it would. It was a frustrating and a taxing experience. It was frustrating because it was so incoherent in so many ways. After a point, I started ignoring and completely wiped the fact out of my mind that this is a story that is based in the Batman or the Gotham universe, because it did not have anything that it borrowed from that universe or anything that it was adding to it. So it just made it easier for me to ignore that and watch it as a standalone film. But that also did not suffice. I think I'm jumping the gun. Let me just pull back a little and talk about the film overall. Joker Folie A Deux stars Joaquin Phoenix once again as Joker, or Arthur Fleck. The big addition is Lady Gaga starring as Lee, revealed to be Harley Quinn, especially because Lady Gaga was fabulous. It was that much more difficult for me to digest whatever was happening on screen because it was so devoid of the Gotham and the Batman universe in so many ways. Joaquin Phoenix was also fantastic once again, continuing from where he left off. But in a film and a character like this, especially when you're writing him in this manner, unlike something that we've seen in Dark Knight or Batman animated series voiced by Mark Hamill, in this kind of a scenario, it's a very single tone portrayal. Doesn't have too many layers that are visible. There is a lot going on underneath the surface, but there aren't too many visible outbursts. This film had a few, this one just has none. Let me talk about the good stuff. The starting is fantastic. Do not miss the start. The way the film opens was such a huge surprise, and that really took my expectation to an all-time high. And it doesn't pan out, but okay, coming back to the good parts. The starting, it borrows from the Looney Tunes universe and merges that with the world of Joker. It was beautifully done. Even though it looks like a cartoon and it feels frivolous, it's gonna get dark, and it does. The lighting and the camera work are also fantastic. There were numerous places where I was able to spot and appreciate the play with light and different camera angles. One of the first ones was when Arthur Fleck is thrown into a cell and he is laughing and the door closes and he continues to laugh and the slit from the door is just lighting up his face and nothing else in the room. So that was really nicely done. And then there is this all artistic, all beauty moment. Harley Quinn drawing a lipstick mark on the glass panel in between Joker and Harley, and he moves slightly. I think they show a glimpse of that in the trailer as well. But here, with the entire mood, it just feels so perfect, so poetic. It's unfortunate that not everything else that is brought up as poetic lands as well as this moment does. The thing that I really liked was part of the overall concept. I say part of the overall concept and not the entire concept because it just doesn't land. But the attempt was really nice. This film is trying to establish the opposite of cruelty and violence, and in doing so, it creates this structure of jazz slash Broadway musical. So many places where Joker as well as Harley are shown to be on stage. It's almost like they are up on stage because the way the light is, the way it's bringing a spotlight onto you. The runaway scene from jail and courtroom, the door to courtroom is opening and it's all a flash of light, almost as if you're taking on the stage. Another thing which was nice was the fact that all imaginative plus real singing were different, because whenever Lady Gaga was singing as Harley Quinn or Lee, she was singing slightly more subdued and more realistic. As soon as the situation moves into Arthur's mind and he's imagining the performance, she is the usual Lady Gaga. She's refined with all the tones hitting the right note. So I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah, I think I managed to talk about some nice things. I already spoke of some of the things that I found really frustrating. The fact that I had to ignore that this was a film that was set in the Gotham universe or Batman universe and all of that. As a film, this is just not coherent enough. Every time you think that, okay, this is the focus point of this film, it moves to something else. That something else could be love bordering on obsession that Harley has for Joker. And you think, okay, this is going to be about their relationship, but then she's cut out and there are long drawn scenes of just Joker with Harley not getting the space to really develop that character in any direction. Even if it's not developing in the direction that I would like it to from a DC universe standpoint, it doesn't get developed anywhere. It just is there. You don't get to see her reasons, you don't get to see where she's coming from and what are her motivations. There is just not enough screen time for Lady Gaga to do her thing, and she is fantastic. If I had to use another word apart from it being incoherent, I think it was plain boring. I get you are looking at bringing in this immense depth to a character, but you can't be self-obsessed and absorbed to the extent that you forget that this film is supposed to indulge to an extent of entertainment. Film itself is so obsessed with Joker. Eventually, as it turns out, that character doesn't really deserve this kind of attention. There is this constant stream of tension and almost this feeling of claustrophobia through the film, as it was in the first film as well. But in the first film, it was broken every now and then with some high point or some spike of emotion coming in. But in this case, it's just a constant stream with very minimal high points. And the frustrating bit is that you keep waiting for that high point because there is this tension and you feel like something's gonna give and break all of this. Something's gonna happen that rattles this character to the point of no return, because we know where Joker is gonna go. The Joker from the DC universe, we know where he's gonna go. So you are expecting this big ticket event to happen. There is hardly any of that Joker that you see. The glimpses of it during the courtroom where he dons the identity of Joker and defends himself. You see sparks and glimmers, and you hope and you hope and you hope to the point of praying that something's gonna give, but it does not. It was also frustrating because there was potential. There was so much potential in what Todd Phillips was trying to do. Understand where this fascination came from, but if it had landed, it would have been beautiful. And part of the reason why it doesn't land is because the film doesn't really wholeheartedly accept that it's a musical. There is so much banking on musicality to drive the narrative forward. But then, unlike a La La Land, which was, La La Land may not be the great example in terms of it, the overall mood. What I fail to understand is why wasn't it treated as a musical full on? If musicality was so important to this film and to the narrative and to the overall concept of this film, just embrace the goddamn fact that you want to make a musical. Let there be song and dance. Let the courtroom go crazy when a number breaks, but that did not happen. It just stayed absorbed with Joker. I'm not sure what else to say, but the fact that beyond anything else, I was just disappointed. Yes, it was frustrating. Yes, it was irritating. But more than anything else, it was disappointing because there was so much potential. There was so many elements that Todd Phillips tries to touch upon, but he doesn't stay with any of them. It feels like he doesn't believe in any of them as a whole. I'm not even sure if I got what the film was about. Maybe I didn't. Like I said, depth can't be for the sake of depth. It needs to be consumable, it needs to be understandable, and eventually it needs to be entertaining. And entertainment does not have to mean a song and dance, fun and frolic. It can be hard hitting, and yet you have a good time watching a film. But in this case, does not have enough to carry you along with it. Would I recommend it? No. If you are a hardcore fan and you still want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. There are some good things about it which I've already spoken. And if you want to watch a good concept fail, this is a good example as any. Fact that it could have been a fabulous film, it could have been a fantastic one of a kind. Sadly, it's not. Let me know if you thought differently. Would love to know in the comments. As always, stay tuned to Filmy Fool. I will continue to talk about films that I like, the films that I don't, series, books, video games, recommend the things that I feel you all should be catching as well.